Audubon 2456.
All right, and we are back with State of the Save. It's the spooky special, the Halloween time special. Ooh. Sitting with me here, Michael. Me and you flying duos today. No triples.
Yes, co-pilots
here on the Dead Space episode.
Yes.
Nick claims that he wasn't, but I think he was just too scared to finish Dead Space. I think Dead Space scared him too bad. But yeah, man. How things going with you?
Things are going pretty well overall.
Yeah, this was a good choice for the Halloween season.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing a lot of spooky games. Let's just jump right into it. What have you been playing other than Dead Space? What have you been doing?
Other than Dead Space, I've been cleaning up a lot of achievement stuff on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2's remake.
How goes the quest for all the achievements in that game? That was a self-picked quest that you did.
Yes, it was. It was probably a poor decision, but I finished the hard one. Now it's just, there are two big 80 G achievements that are just a pain. One is finding all the gaps.
Okay.
Which is just going through a checklist and just knocking them out, watching a YouTube video to find where all the gaps are.
That's like an Excel kind of situation. Just make a sheet, go 1, 2, 3, all the way down, you know?
Pretty much. That one is not so bad. I haven't got to Skate Heaven yet, which has 3 times more gaps than most of the other levels.
Well, it's Skate Heaven.
It is Skate Heaven.
It's got to have
and apparently gaps. A couple of them are notoriously broken, so...
And
if you want to talk about broken, I went ahead and did the hardest achievement first, which is called Got There. Because there's things called Get Theres, where if you're talking about gaps, they are strings of gaps together. And there's easy and hard Get Theres, where you have to combine multiple gaps into a single combo. And some of them go across the entire stage. Like, you remember the bull ring from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2?
Yeah.
Alright, so in the bull ring one, you gotta start from above the bull ring, essentially. And then boneless onto one of the ramps, ride that ramp down, go to a half pipe, do a trick on the half pipe, revert to another rail, go to another rail, and then you have to maintain enough speed in order to jump back to the top of the bull ring.
It's almost kind of like the achievement in games like Titanfall 2 or Call of Duty, where they have the training arenas, and it's like, oh, do the training arena at the beginning of the game, and there's always that one achievement. It's like, do it in 10 seconds or do it in 20 seconds, where you're almost just memorizing a pattern. You can't do it but like one way, really. So you're just kind of, it's trial and error kind of situation.
Some of them have multiple ways to doing them, so it's just figuring out which line works best for you. Okay. There's only, the one I was working on for a while, the one in the mall, where you have to ollie all 3 steps of stairs. Some people, I start at the top and work my way to the bottom. Some people start at the bottom one because the top of the level, once you hit the bottom of the level, it resets you at the top.
Okay.
So some people start at the bottom one because that's the hardest one. And then they just manual all the way through the mall to get to the other 2.
Just kind of, to me, that's kind of like breaking the spirit of the mission, but not the rules.
I found that way harder for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just because you have to manual the entire... If you start from the top, you have to manual all the way down those escalator ramps and everything, and keep grind. And on top of that, keep your speed up so that you can clear those gaps.
I'm about to say that's the tough part, right? Making sure that you have enough speed to actually be able to clear the gap at the end of getting there. You can't just kind of grind your way there and just hope for the best. You have to make sure you're gaining speed the whole entire time.
And some of them, I was using my created character, and he has max stats because I collected all the stat points in the levels. In Downhill Jam, to make it easier, mid-combo, I had to go in and lower my speed stat while in the air, so that I could make sure I didn't have too much speed to make this one. I was like, I need speed to get to this one rail, but after that, I don't want to be going too fast. So they were like, so I was looking up going, how do I do this? They're like, okay, if you lower your speed mid-combo, you can reset your stats. So that way you're when you hit this, you're not going too fast, so you won't like be out of control when you go down this ramp.
That reminds me of
such a pain, but like I've done it. All the hard get-thers are done. Now I'm just finding all the gaps, and then I have the multiplayer achievements.
That reminds me of like the you ever watch like the speed running, like the Doom speed running and stuff like that, where people
it's
are
an
like,
art.
yeah,
like, it
they're
really
like,
is.
I know here that I will save 5 seconds if I actually close the game out and restart the game at this point, so I can skip this cutscene, or I will break this sequence by going over here and changing inversing my controls or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of level of at that point you're gaming the system. But it's almost like the game's making that a part of the quest to complete the achievement. Like, it's not really breaking the game as much as you're gaming the systems of the game. You're looking at the game very much from a series of numbers at that point.
Pretty much, and that's how it felt. I think I was watching some big Tony Hawk YouTubers, so they probably have done some speed runs before to really help me through that challenge.
I watched, there's a guy who I watch on YouTube, is That Punch Kid. He does a bunch of like Apex stuff and stuff like that, but he did a couple of videos on Tony Hawk, and it was a similar kind of vibe of, it brought back a lot of nice memories. I'm gonna get around to playing that game.
It's very much, this might be my game of the year. I love it so much. Like, it just nails every single thing it tries to do.
I was looking at actually buying that a couple of weeks ago, but there's a Goliath on the horizon in about 4 weeks. A certain game that I've been waiting on for a very long time, and I just said, you know what, we're just gonna ride out these next couple of weeks, and we're gonna jump into some Cyberpunk. Other than Tony Hawk, what have you been playing?
I went back to a game that I played through last year, Fire Emblem 3 Houses for the Nintendo Switch.
Okay, I remember we talked about that a lot when you were playing through that. Did you finish it, or did you restart it?
I finished one route of that game. So the way 3 Houses work is you choose your story path from the beginning of the game, and there's 4 separate stories that take place. One breaks off into 2 separate story paths halfway through the game.
Okay.
That I know of. So I played through with the Golden Deer path along with my students, my ragtag group. So basically you start off as like a mercenary, and you get called to go be a teacher of this officers academy, where this one land is divided up into mainly 3 separate kingdoms. You have the Empire, you have the Kingdom of Fargus, and then you have the Leicester Alliance, which is a group of city-states that kind of claim their own. And they live mostly peacefully. And at the center is a church, because they all worship this goddess, and that's where they go and send their up-and-coming like students. So like, since this is a Japanese game, all like 16 to 18-year-olds to get trained into being like officers of their respective armies.
So it's like a neutral ground kind of situation where everybody kind of agrees, well, cool here, we're all gonna interact with each other here because we all follow this same like religious sect.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Well, and they also like learn how to like break up, because you have people who go against the church and everything. So there's a surprising amount of like dealing with like an oligarchy and like the implications of that. And so you can like have conversations that's like, is this something good that we're doing, or is there some dark implications of some of this stuff? So you can kind of delve into some of the conversations like that. But I'm playing through on a different story route this time, because basically halfway through the game, and most of the story stuff that I've seen so far is pretty much the same as my first playthrough, but I know there's a seismic shift halfway through this game where the villain is revealed, where you're just like, oh man, this changes everything. And so all of the basically being as vague as possible, everything goes to crap, and then all of a sudden everybody's at war with each other.
Okay, so that's like, you, because you know this turning point is coming, mm-hmm. you can kind of play the story in a way that you're trying to see kind of how you can play it to kind of affect that outcome ahead of time, basically. Is that kind of what I'm picking up here?
Pretty much, but the story path is mainly set from the one you choose at the beginning. You're just seeing it through different angles. For example, there is a bit in the first half with the Golden Deer storyline, where I save a student who's been captured and who was captured, but she was held captive for a year, and she was a member of the Black Eagle House. So she goes and becomes a student in the Black Eagle House. So I didn't see so I saved her and everything, but I didn't see if that changed any character dynamics or anything going forward because she was in a different house. So now that I'm playing with the Black Eagle Alliance this time, I'll be able to see how if there's a dynamic shift that happens because of that. So that stuff is really cool. There's a bit that affects all three houses separately in the beginning. So
it's not like a situation like a Dragon Age where you just have a different path at the beginning, but you all end up on the same main course of story.
Mostly,
it's more. And when I say Dragon Age, I mean the first one, the Origins one.
But there is one path, the Black Eagle House, that I know because I've just seen it because I looked up some stuff after I beat the game the first time. The Black Eagle House has a split halfway through the game where you choose an alliance. So that affects it, because halfway through the Black Eagle House, you have a choice that divides the game into two separate paths from there on.
Okay.
So,
That's interesting.
Very dense game. It's a really good strategy game, kind of on the easier side, but you can play. I play on normal difficulty with permadeath, so I feel that's a good balance between it's not too hard, but there's a lot of weight to my decisions and everything.
There's repercussions to messing up.
Yeah, and this is a game that I won't spend too much time on it, but what keeps me coming back is the way the progression system works, because you are a teacher at this school. So you are dividing up lessons, you're making sure your students are motivated so you can do individual lessons. You're going to learn swords or lances. So they have meters and everything that when you teach them, they improve. They can come to you saying, I don't really want to learn lances. I want to learn axes because I want to be a knight. And you're okay, cool. Or, no, I want you to be a holy knight, so I need you to be good at lances so you can follow that path.
Yeah.
So you're always constantly making progress in this game. So the numbers get higher, the stats get higher. Every student has a grade for each individual stat, swords, lances, axes, flying, horses. There's a bunch of stats, and you're constantly growing your characters as you play. It's a really good game.
Those kind of games I always want to make sure I have time to really invest in, because I know that it's going to be something that the more time you put into it, the more you get out of it.
Playthrough 1 was about 50 hours.
Ooh.
But I'm playing through this time on New Game Plus, which makes you can carry over all of your professor level. You don't have to build up, so it's okay, you can raise up your characters a lot faster because we know you want to plow through this so you can see more of the story stuff that you missed.
Yeah, so at this point we get it. You don't need to really engage with the baseline systems. Let's get you right back into the main.
It's we know why you're playing this game again. You're playing it to see the cool stuff.
Talking about a game that I'm playing again.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing Resident Evil 4 again, Michael. I believe.
Yes.
I believe this is the 7th or 8th time I have played through Resident Evil 4. It's a Halloween tradition for me.
It's a great Halloween tradition to have. That is an amazing game.
I've played through that game multiple generations of consoles on multiple consoles.
That game probably has more ports than every single thing. Will they make another port of Resident Evil 4 with the new consoles? Because they're both back. Because the PS5 and the Series X are backwards compatible.
Now, the thing is, the rumor is that we're getting a remake. So
we talked about this. I don't know if we could talk about this on the show, but I don't know if you can remake Resident Evil 4.
You can. I will one day play Resident Evil 3 remake. I've only played Resident Evil 2 remake. Now, I invested a ton of time into that. I was going to say that we were going to do Resident Evil 4 for the podcast for this Halloween season, but it was a situation where Resident Evil 4, to me, is better when you have some time to really dig into kind of what that game does. And it's a longer game than people, I think, remember.
It's 20 hours or something.
Yeah.
Bordering on it.
And those the additions that they added with the PlayStation 2 version that I believe is the only version you can get now. If you're buying it for modern systems. Because if you remember, the GameCube version actually didn't have all the same content that the PlayStation 2 version had.
It didn't have Mercenaries mode, Separate Ways, or Operation Ada, I think.
Yeah, the Ada stuff was cut from the GameCube version. I want to say there's some weapons and things like that. And so we were kind of coming off of a big game with Metal Gear, and I did not want to do another 4 or 5 part series right afterwards, you know. But I feel like Resident Evil 4 needs some time to breathe, so we were going to do it eventually. But boy, that game's still great, man, and it still holds up so well. It holds up so well. That's pretty much what I've been playing exclusively alongside Dead Space, and they go really well together because they're similar style games. But
they were made almost like when I was doing my research, one phrase kept coming up that they use internally was, we're going to make Resident Evil in space. Because 4 was like a game changer at the time. That's what every horror game strive to be from then on out. Because everything was mostly, when you look at horror games, especially the ones from like Japanese developers like Shinji Mikami, when he did Dino Crisis, that was like a Resident Evil. You do puzzles and you fight things.
Yeah.
You fight scary things and do puzzles, basically, is what the structure of those horror games were and everything. You have some that do stuff differently, like in an RPG format. Like one game I really want us to play is Parasite Eve.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
That is a horror game, but with like an RPG combat system, and just the way it like. So of course it's more focused on like puzzles and like spells and stuff, but the way I think it handles that is really cool. But after Resident Evil 4, you see a shift to where everything is like, it made the modern third-person shooter.
Yeah, I mean,
everything after that was behind the shoulder.
Everything's behind the shoulder. It makes the aiming style, even if like playing these two games together. So we'll use this to pivot into our Dead Space talk. It has been a fascinating thing to play them side by side, because while Dead Space has some of the more quote unquote modern advances of like moving while shooting and things like that, the camera controls are a lot more traditional, a third person action game. The way the combat is done in Resident Evil, where you're picking body parts and precise shooting, like in Resident Evil 4, you're not just dumping rounds into enemies, and it's not just about headshots. It's also about shooting weapons out of enemies' hands, shooting enemies in the leg to stagger them.
It's mostly about headshots, but you still want to... Well, until you get to like the late game enemy that I'm going to talk about once we get to, I think, Chapter 5 here.
Yeah.
The regenerators in Resident Evil 4. Because there's just a straight up regenerator in this game.
Yeah. But even with Resident Evil 4, and some of this just comes from repeat playthroughs, you start to realize, like, okay, I'm actually better off shooting the guy with the dynamite in the hand. So he drops the dynamite and blows up everybody. Or shooting people in the leg so you can do the kick to save ammunition. So, like, some of those same mechanics really go well into Dead Space, where you're shooting off limbs to try to slow enemies or take enemies' threats away from them. So, yeah, it's a fascinating game to play side by side with each other, which leads us into our game. Dead Space. We're going to kind of talk about that. Dead Space is not like Life is Strange or any of those other games where we're going to have to really dig deep into story stuff. There's a story here, but we're going to talk more about gameplay mechanics and vibe.
The story is mostly set dressing for what you're doing in the game.
It's a haunted house in space.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
You know, the game, one of the things that kind of blew my mind, because I played this when it came out, and I remember being very, very impressed with this game's sound design and the lighting. And I can tell you right now, sound design and lighting in this game, it holds up.
It's excellent. I want to talk a little bit about the score, because it's something that you don't notice until you notice it, if that makes sense. Like, because it handles an atmospheric score in a way like Doom 64.
Yeah.
Where it's not like in your face and everything. It's there for ambiance, and it sets the tone. And one thing that I really like is there are some moments where the score like picks up right before like an enemy encounter, and it just makes you instantly tense. Every time you hear the score pick up, you hit the aim button and like try to look around corners better. So like it does its job. I had to look up. I forgot the composer's name. I don't think it's the guy who did Doom 64 soundtrack, whose name I'm blanking on. I knew it today, but I'm blanking on it now. But yeah, the sound design in this game is incredible.
The smart thing about the sound design is that they use it also to toy with your emotions.
Yes.
So there's times where the score will take a sudden shoot up and nothing will happen. And I can't tell if that's necessarily always triggered by where you are in the level or if it's triggered by just kind of randomness. Because there was one point in all these missions are structured kind of the same. Mm-hmm. Where you're on a deck and you're going out from a spoke into a wheel-like kind of environment to complete objectives on that deck. And you're coming back to this like center of the spoke where there's a save terminal and usually a store and things like that. There was a portion in which I was in the center of the spoke and nothing was happening. I was actually going to save the game, and all of a sudden the score takes this massive, the distorted violin sounds and the cello sounds, and I'm scanning the whole area. I'm looking at the vents. I'm trying to find where the target's coming from. And nothing happens, and it just kind of dies back down suddenly. But it's enough just to kind of put you back on edge. And one thing I really like to talk about is the sound design. They really bring up stuff like Isaac's heartbeat. Because I'm playing this with a really pretty solid set of headphones.
When you're low on health, he'll like breathe a lot heavier,
yes.
And if you're like when you're low on oxygen, he'll like gasp more. Even after like you fill up again, he like gasps for a longer period of time after that.
Well, it's like he's catching his breath.
And like, yeah, I feel you. I was right there with you.
Yeah. There's a portion also, I want to say, and this might just be my perception on things. If you're in heavy combat situations, the heart rate goes up. You can hear the beating faster. Because there was a section in this game, I believe in chapter 6, that's just a big old combat arena. It throws a whole crap ton of enemies at you. And I wasn't low on health, but I think I was running constantly and shooting constantly. And his heart rate goes up. You hear the beating faster and he's breathing heavier. Which really plays into the stress level this game is trying to put you under. That we made jokes about when we talked about this last episode about the advertising being like, this is a game your mom doesn't want you to play. But it is a pretty stressful game even today. Like, it still maintains a certain level of horror. It does a lot of jump scares, but they're kind of the fun kind where you go to kind of chuckle to yourself afterwards. Like, they're not cheesy necessarily because the game kind of embraces the jump scare.
There's one bit that is either in chapter 4 or 5. It's 5. It's right after you get done with this large enemy encounter where you wait for the door to open. So you're just running through a hallway and you get to that door and you hit the door and all of a sudden your head gets cut off. It makes you jump, and then you're like, that's the one part where it feels cheap and frustrating. Like, it's a beginner's death. Like, everyone who's playing it will hit that wall, and it's
thing about this game series is they got really into the idea that the deaths were, quote, like an attraction. So in this game, there's a lot of like really bad deaths for Isaac. So if you die certain ways, he'll die like very customized ways. As the series goes on, they really embrace that.
The quick ones are very effective. Like when all of a sudden Isaac's just whole torso gets cut in half. But there's some like with the regenerator. I think that's what it's called. Does he have a?
I think it's a regenerator. There's not really a good like listing of the enemy types.
Gotcha. I'm just gonna call him regenerator for the lack of a better term. Like when you get killed by him, like he just charges you. That one goes for like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, all right, I'll get it. I'm dead. This goes on for too long. It's like, have you ever played the Tomb Raider reboot?
Yeah.
Those deaths just go on for like too long to the point where, especially when you're dealing with like Laura, you're like, this is uncomfortable.
Those get almost, this is going to be a weird way of phrasing this, but like fetishization of death of Laura in those games where like she'll hit like a spike.
That's the one that sticks out in my mind where she's like grabbing the spot, and I'm just like,
it's not necessary.
That when I think of Tomb Raider, that's the first image that goes into my head. for like what's supposed to be like an adventure style game, and I'm just like, it doesn't fit that tone of that game like at all.
I really enjoy that first remake Tomb Raider game.
Rise was good too.
I actually would love to play one of those for this show. I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
But those deaths are really uncomfortable because they're like struggling, and there'll be like a 10-minute thing, and especially in a game where maybe you're at a part where you're dying a lot. I don't want to spend like over and over and over watching my character like struggle to keep herself alive as she dies. Like, it just feels a little weird, and it feels a little kind of self-indulgent. And Dead Space 2 particularly, I remember going really hard on that. Those like portions of that where you get sucked through like vents, and it's like a long cutscene of him being like poured slowly through the vent, and it's just at first you watch it like, it's like a fatality in Mortal Kombat, and then it's like no, it's just really long and self-indulgent, and it's just uncomfortable for the sake of uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think the reason why it's not uncomfortable here is just long. Some of them are just long and tedious. Not all of them. For the most part, they do a good job. But the reason it's not uncomfortable here is Isaac is, for the most part, a faceless character.
Yeah, and that will change a little bit in 2 and 3.
He's basically a silent protagonist here. I don't remember one line he says at all.
I was trying to think back. I want to say he gets a voice eventually in the series. And it really took me back, because at first I ran off the assumption that he had a voice lines and he talked. And then let's go into the beginning of this game.
Yeah,
at the very beginning of the game, the mission that you are on, Isaac is on a kind of a shuttle heading to the USS
Ishimura.
Ishimura, which is a planet crackle. It cracks open planets and gets the minerals out. And it's ran by this corporation that Isaac works for. Also, it just so happens that his wife or girlfriend, I don't quite think it ever tells you exactly which one, Nicole, is on that ship. She is a medical personnel person on that ship. And the game actually starts with a message that you got sent to Isaac from Nicole, kind of vaguely talking about stuff going bad on the Ishimura. Not like, oh, there's monsters everywhere, but just like things are going bad.
Hey, we picked up something and things are starting to get a little weird here.
Yeah. So, it's not.
Hey, I'm uncomfortable. Hey, Isaac, can you come pick me up?
Mom, Dad, I'm not having fun no more. Please come get me. It's that same thing. But Isaac is a engineer. Which I did think, at the time, I remember thinking was really cool that he's not a soldier. Like, he's an engineer.
Even the weapons you get, for the most part, like, the first weapon is a, like, cutting tool that they use.
Almost all the weapons, and I want to say in Dead Space 2, they get really into this, that all the weapons have, like, mining equipment purposes. And the only gun that doesn't is the plasma rifle, which is a straight-up gun. Like, that's a military gun. Everything else, you could kind of make a point to say that it's a tool, which fits Isaac. The idea that he's an engineer, he's not a soldier.
He's using what he knows to kind of get his way through the station.
And also, it makes more sense than having a bunch of weapons on board a mining ship. Like, I guess, and because the red shirts that are with you have these plasma rifles, so I'm guessing that's like, maybe the security gun that they use. But everything else kind of makes sense why it would be on a ship that's a mining vessel. With my Isaac is Chief of Security Hammond. And then
Kendra is
what is Kendra's job? It doesn't say. What is she, the captain of this mission?
I just assumed they were all engineers.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they're just like a crew of 3 that's like, all right, we have different specialties. Like, I'm good at plumbing and you're good at electrical.
It's a crew of 5, Michael, because there's 2 red shirts. You don't remember them because they don't hang around long. But you come in off of what looks to be like hyperspace or the warp, whatever sci-fi fast way of traveling. It's a really cool sequence as you're approaching the Ishimura. It's the whole, we're hailing the ship, nobody's responding.
They mentioned 1,000 people's on the ship and not one of them answered.
Yeah, that's the part that blew me away, is that they give a number that high, that this is a very populated ship, which I like when games do that, because it justifies why there's so many enemies. It's the Resident Evil 2 Raccoon City thing, where it's like it's an entire city worth of people. There's going to be a lot of zombies, instead of like the mansion in Resident Evil 1, where it's like, how many daggone people are living in this mansion that there's, hundreds of zombies here.
That's a fair point. I never put that together in the first Resident Evil.
Well, and that's the thing I like about 2. Like, it's a city. It makes sense why there's so many zombies here. There's a lot of people here. As you approach the ship, the scores kicked in. We never see Isaac's face because he puts the helmet on before he turns around, but you can see he's going bald, which I think is kind of funny. If you look at the model, he got like he's got that V thing going. And it's the whole thing like, hey, we're here to fix the ship, get the ship up and running for the company. You've seen this intro in almost every sci-fi, horror, movie, TV show, everything. It's the same thing in Event Horizon. It's the same thing in Aliens. Once you get on board,
no one's responding. Weird. Let's go in.
You think
at least in Aliens they send in Marines.
When Aliens, like they're kind of prepared in Aliens, like they got the Marines with them and stuff. But here they're like, everybody's probably at lunch. We're just gonna pull on in. As you come in, your ship kind of gets is it like a tractor beam or something that brings you in?
I think I don't know. They were pretty vague on that part, but he goes. I think he's like starting to, but then he realizes that I think it's just like something you can do to like land the ship easier. But then when he's like halfway pulled in, they realize, wait a minute, everything's messed up here. So then Hammond tries to do it manually. Like he shuts off the tractor beam and ends up crashing the ship. And then, come on, Kendra goes all off on him, but I was like, at least he tried something. There was no runway there.
Kendra is like a definition of a character who's constantly going off on people when they like. I'm not gonna like make a guess or anything, and I honestly don't remember. My memory on things is well established. But it's not like Heyman is a like a jerk or anything, or he's like he's secretly running a shell game. Like, she just goes off on him constantly for any near thing.
She distrusts him. Like, she even says, I don't trust Hammond.
Which I don't know why.
Because, haven't you guys worked together for, like, a long time at this point? Like...
I mean, there's people I walk with who I, like, wouldn't trust about, like, I think this guy might be, like, not telling me the complete status on this order. But it's not like I'm going to assume he's trying to kill me, Like, no. She just instantly goes into paranoia. Once you get aboard the ship, it's the whole, hey, it's weird no one's here. And I've always thought it's weird in these kind of situations. And I know it's a point of the plot. But just everybody just kind of like goes with the flow. Like there's 1,000 people on this ship. And you just pulled into the parking space. And you don't think it's weird that nobody's out there. Or you can't see anybody on the deck. Like it just feels weird that you wouldn't be instantly like, oh my god, we gotta get out of here.
When you enter the ship and you pull up the map for the first time, it gave me strong Metroid Prime vibes. Like, just the empty, isolated atmosphere, like the 3D looking map. I was like, oh, this is going to be a Metroid Prime. I thought the way this game was going to be structured from here was it was going to be a full base, and you're, like, unlocking, like, having, like, keys and everything to unlock the ship further.
Kind of like a Metroidvania thing.
I was thinking this was going to be straight up Metroidvania, and then you get on the trams and everything. It's like, oh, no, they're just separate, individually connected areas, which is good, too. Like, the areas that we go to are pretty well crafted. It was just, like, right from the gate. Like, the map is useless.
Yeah, the map is useless.
You do not need the map in this game. That's why I was thinking, oh, there's a map. This is going to be like, you're going to go find things, and it's going to mark places you can use to get things you can use to get through doors and stuff. But all you need to do is just hold the right thumbstick, and you'll get an arrow and where to go. You just follow the arrow, and then you won't get lost at all in this game.
The arrow thing, okay, I remember very vividly reading an article before this game came out in Game Informal that was an interview with the director of this game, and he was talking a lot about the fact that the game never breaks to like a menu. And I will give him that. It doesn't. Like, when you bring up the menus, it's in Word. Like if you're looking at the map, it projects it out in front of Isaac. if someone sends a message to Isaac, it projects it out in front of you via his equipment.
I prefer that in a horror game because you gotta choose whenever you you navigate your menus
Exactly.
easily. It works very well.
The health bar being on the back of the equipment, so you could see it at all times, and that's like a in-word explained thing because everyone has one of those. It's this, like a monitor thing. It's like a heart rate monitor kind of thing that everyone wears. That stuff all holds up really well, but I also remember them talking a lot about how this was kind of like they kept referring to it as like a proto open world. Because
No.
Yeah, well, because you're going back to locations, but it's not. It's a chapter-based story. But I think it was because at the time, it was more of a big deal, the fact that it was like you're retracing your steps. Because I described each one of these levels as like a wheel and spoke system. There's always like a central hub that comes off of the tram station, and then those areas that jut off of that central hub. Every single mission so far has had that. It's almost formulaic to the point that I hope it plays with it farther into the game because it's very formulaic.
There was one part where it played really well with it in, I think it's chapter 3, where you go and there's a dead body on a chair, and then the second time you come back to it, the dead body's gone. Well, and you're like, oh, what happened? Is he working around? Did someone did one of the necromorphs come and eat him? Like, what happened? That was such a good bit.
There's also a good point in which I believe in chapter 2 that you're in that central location where it's trying to have already trained you as a safe area, and an enemy attacks you inside there. And it's like, okay, cool. That's a smart thing because it's like, here's the store, here's the save spot. I'm safe. I can breathe out and go walk around and check my inventory, and then enemy jumps you. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm still in danger here.
You can't take safety for granted in this game.
No, even if you see a save spot or a store, the enemy can still jump you then. One thing on this first level is you go in, you go into the main little, I guess, reception area, and it does the classic video game thing of sending you on one side of the glass so bad things can happen on the other side of the glass.
That was such a trope in in that generation of consoles. I don't remember seeing it since, but I immediately thought of Mass Effect 2 has it at the very beginning.
I think it comes from BioShock.
Deus Ex Human Revolution has it. Just every single first chapter of any game with any sci-fi game really does that bit where you're watching somebody on the other side of the glass.
Do you remember how BioShock made a big deal of the fact that it never did cutscenes? The introduction of the Big Daddy in BioShock is a scene where you're looking through the glass as you see the little sister harvesting Adam, and then the Big Daddy comes in and kills a bunch of splicers. I want to say a lot of this was at the time I remember people being very impressed by that scene. Looking through the glass and seeing the introduction of this character, and I want to say that a lot of people kind of learned a lesson from that it was a good way of introducing moments and keeping you as a player from being able to interact with them but still be quote unquote a part of the scene. Because I can list off a ton of games at this particular generation that was super into the whole put you behind a piece of glass and then bad things happen on the other side of the glass.
I can't think of an equivalent to that this generation. What's the thing this generation did at the beginning that everybody else, that all the other games were yeah, let's do that?
Loot boxes.
You're right. Card packs.
Opening animations that flash different colors depending on how crappy the gear is or how good it is.
Everything sucks.
Everything sucks. Nothing matters. This is the scene where you're separated from the group because it's not a good horror game if you're with a bunch of people. Also, it's where the two red shirts get killed. Basically, it's the introduction of the enemies, the
necromorphs.
Yeah, the necromorphs. They're kind of it's the first time you see them and you get to say, oh no, the ship is being attacked by monsters. I love this in horror games. I think all horror games should have more of this. This is a sequence entirely based about running away. More horror games should entice you to run than always fight.
Alien Isolation,
Yes.
by the way, that's one that I think does it the best.
Oh, yeah.
Constant, like, I can't fight this thing. I have tools to get it away from me, but I can't engage.
Yeah, like the idea that, hey, you don't always stand and fight the enemy. Sometimes you got to get the heck out of dodge.
That's what happens when you get to the Regenerator, because
Yeah.
he's the first enemy that you can't kill.
Yes, and it's about running away from him.
Mm-hmm.
From this point, we move throughout the facility. The crew is running off to get to the bridge, and you're tasked with getting up the tram stations, which is going to be how you move around the ship throughout the entire game. You also receive your plasma cuddle at the beginning of this chapter. It's your main weapon / tool / puzzle solving mechanic weapon.
Pretty much. It's your pistol.
Yeah.
It's your starting pistol in any like game. It's like, this will get the job done. You can upgrade to make it better. You'll carry this thing throughout the entire game.
Yeah, this is your main weapon. And then this is something I kind of talked about, how the game's kind of formulaic. Because then from this point, you're just fixing things to get the track up and running, the train up and running.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing super like story-wise here, other than you've discovered that the necromorphs. I just call them. I keep like referring to them in my notes as necro, but necromorphs are like taking over the ship. You also are getting a lot of information that how you engage enemies in this game is more about chopping them up than it is shooting them repeatedly.
I love the mechanic of the using like different horizontal or vertical abilities based on what enemies they are, and especially that comes in handy in the zero gravity areas.
Yes.
Where you're dealing with like different angles and everything of how to like chop off these arms.
You know, like for the main one, like what my kind of go-to is shooting them at like the waist to chop off the legs, and then switching it to a vertical cut to take the arms off. Mm-hmm. So it feels very when it walks, it feels super like impactful. It feels good. They'll just go 1, 2, 3, dead. You know, keep moving. One thing that also impressed me a lot in this game when I first played it is the melee combat. It feels pretty good the way the swings work.
It's weighty. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of weight to the swings.
And it's a wild swing. Like, it's not like a military kind of punch. It's it's a haymaker. You know, it feels really good. And the stomp feels good. Like, it's...
Yes.
This was another big thing at this generation, because if you remember, Gears of War kind of brought the curb stomp into big play. This is not far after
This
Gears
was
of
after
War.
Gears, right?
Yeah.
Gears was 2006. This was 2008? Yeah.
Early 2000s, we like curb stomping people. To be honest with you, curb stomps are pretty cool in video games. More curb stomps.
Yes, more curb stomps. Bring them back.
Seth Rollins has been curb stomping people in wrestling for years. It's pretty cool every time. As we kind of clear the track stations, you know, you'll kind of... my favorite thing is it does the classic thing of like, okay, get back to the ship and get it ready for us to leave. Like, we're all going to get right out of here. And of course, right when you get back to the ship, it blows up. You knew this wasn't going to happen. Come on. Also, before we exited this chapter, I'm going to give everybody kind of a player tip. Always buy the suits as fast as you can.
That's the first thing I do. I don't spend a lot of time upgrading my, like, equipment, but because I've been having a hard time finding the power nodes. Mm-hmm. Those are... I usually do a pretty decent job of exploring areas and everything, but I keep coming up short on the power node, so it just every time I've been... one thing I like that this game does, because I'm building to like the store system, is that you can get high quality items to sell, but they take up an inventory slot.
Yeah.
So that's a good like risk reward.
And especially in the lower suits, the inventory is pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be carrying a lot of ammunition and medical supplies, you might not be able to carry that gold like superconductor that you can sell when you get back to the store.
I'm on suit 3 now, and I haven't had that problem since. I haven't filled it up, so I didn't need to waste time like finding power nodes to fill up to modify suit 1. When suit 3 I haven't filled up yet.
Yeah. The kind of go-to... Okay, I'm playing this for the second time. I play a lot of survival horror military, like I say military, but like shooter games where you're like managing resources. So I'm actually playing this on hard, and the main thing to learn is upgrade the suit and upgrade the plasma cuddle, because the plasma cuddle is like its go-to. If you're in a fight that you need, it's going to give you ammunition ahead of time. It's 99% of the time going to give you plasma cuddle ammunition. So that's kind of what needs to be your main tool in your arsenal.
Just like in Resident Evil, you want the Red 9. Get
Yes.
the Red 9, upgrade that all the way, and you don't need any other gun.
Exactly. Like all the other guns are fine, and I'm using them a lot because I'm trying to play it a little bit different than I usually play these games. But the main thing is the plasma cuddle needs to be your primary source of like engaging enemies.
Once I got the Force gun and replaced my the assault rifle with I forget what it's called, but it's like the heavy weapon that charges.
Oh,
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
about. I feel like plasma cutter, the line gun, a Force gun, and the heavy weapon, like, they suit my playstyle of like use the Force gun to like push back a wave of enemies and then just like kind of figure my way out there. Like I'm playing this like a Resident Evil 4 where you're trying to deal with a lot with crowd control in heavy environments.
I use the flamethrower a lot because it's like my crowd control backup. Like it's my reestablishing dominance in a situation.
That's why you
so
use
if
the
I
Force
get
gun
jumped. If I get jumped by a bunch of enemies, the flamethrower allows me to burn away enemies, keep them back, allows me to kind of escape, and then turn back around and engage with my plasma cutter or my line gun or something like that.
Plus, the Force gun is good for like those little face hugger things.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Knock them back.
The flamethrower is really good for those little like packs of little creatures that try to get into your suit.
That's what I was calling the face huggers.
Yeah, face hugger things. Yeah, flamethrower, the Force gun will take care of all those, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
We're sent to Med Bay because we're basically trying to now get the rest of the crew around the ship. Med Bay is also the kind of the first example of that spoke and wheel system, where you're going into the main circle of Med Bay and then you're going off to the right, left, or center to kind of build up a explosive device to get yourself into Med Bay to get to the captain whose rig is there. The captain is dead.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. And it's the whole classic thing of like, we got to get to the bridge. We need the captain's authorization to do this. I think it's in Halo. You have to go get Keys, Captain Keys' thing in his neck at one point from like a flood zone where the flood, not where the water is, but where the flood is. I remember also when I first played this, finding Medical Bay terrifying. Yeah,
this was the part where I started to like this game. Chapter 1 was good, but I'm like, it's just a facility, like a lot of that's my main complaint with the game overall. The environmental design, when it's good, is really good, but sometimes you're going through areas that just look samey, but it's one ship, I get it, but like there's nothing a lot. There's some areas where there's not a lot of interesting stuff going to the environment. The Medical Bay was where I was like, okay, this game's got something, especially the room with the fetuses in the lockers.
Yeah, man.
Where you meet the zombie babies for the first time. Well, don't know what they're called, but I was like, is that a zombie baby? And I was like, they all look the same, so are these like clones? And that's where I have this huge, I don't know if it's true, that Isaac is a clone baby who they aged up. It might be my Metal Gear in me, because I don't know how that would play out.
Oh, man.
But I'm like, is Isaac a clone baby?
Okay.
I'm probably completely wrong, but that was
I'm not going to tell you.
That was just where my mind went.
But I will tell you this. Medical Bay I like because, A, you start to see others, like, quote-unquote survivors, where you start seeing that people are freaking messed up. Like, there's a lady at one point who cuts her own throat. She's in, like, a medical, like, they're like one of the, like, the operating beds or something, and she's, like, chopping into somebody, and then, like, she turns and then cuts her own throat with a saw.
crazy suicide doctor lady was mine.
Yeah, there's some fucked up shit going on here, you know?
There's one chapter 5 where she doesn't. She's just looking over a body of one of her friends and is just like holding her arm, just like shivering. And I tried to like see if I could like talk to her in some way, but she does not respond to you at all. She's just like in shock.
And when they should do more of that, because
yeah, I agree.
In that way, it doesn't not make you feel alone. It makes you feel more alone. Because as you're going around the medical bay getting your stuff, you're building a bomb to get into a section to get to the captain. And like as you're doing that, it's best because you are dealing with like, oh my god, these people are just terrifying. And this is also when you first hear the concept that, I believe it's an audio log that tells you that they found a marker on the planet that they were cracking that also had a colony on it. And they brought that marker on board. And the marker is kind of what's kick-started all of this. And there's a cult associated with the marker that was started on the colony but has transferred over to the ship.
I've been saying this all along. Always, whenever you see an alien artifact on the ship, always bring it on board. Always.
Okay, this game...
Nothing can go wrong.
I talk Warhammer a lot, but boy, that's a very Warhammer-like thing.
It's a very horror thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to take this... Well, look, guys, we found an alien artifact. Just put it on the ship. Why is everything going bad?
If you made Isaac a little bit more bulky and a lot better at killing things, he could be a space marine, and we could be dealing with chaos. Like, it's a very Warhammer concept of, like, this thing that affects people's minds and makes them go evil and crazy. And it's also very Event Horizon. If you've seen Event Horizon, this game really... I told everybody that's, like, your... You know, watch the movie before getting into the game kind of thing. Event Horizon is kind of very similar to this game in a lot of ways.
Some good stuff. We're in chapter 3 now, talking about, like, the... when they pulled the planet apart and stuff. But so one thing in chapter 3 that's very early on that's really great is the decontamination chamber.
Yes.
Where the lights go dark and you just hear an enemy like crawling in. You don't know where he's coming. I was like, this bit is the scariest bit so far at that point in the game.
Also, one other thing that happens in chapter 2 that I want to touch on real quick. And like I said, we're not going beat to beat on this game. That's not the kind of game this is.
No.
Is you get your first message from Nicole, where she gives you a message addressing you and saying, like, I think she repeats over and over again the line, make us whole again, Isaac, or I need you to find me, Isaac, or something on those lines. When the third chapter, after we've gained access to the captain and basically got access to his information that we need to get passed on to the crew so they can get to the... Because they're moving throughout the ship. Also, I believe also at this point isn't Heyman and what's the lady's name? Kendra. Aren't they separated at this point? Because there's a point in which Kendra's separated from Heyman,
and she's like, I can't get in touch with Hammond. He's not answering his comms. That's weird. I don't trust him. And it's like, okay.
And
that's where I was like, I don't care about this story at all. Yeah. I feel bad because like there is some story stuff in this game. I don't really care about what's going on. I'm here for the excellent lighting and sound design.
Yeah, this is definitely...
Enemy encounters and just the atmosphere itself. I'm not here for the story at all. Again, that's not the type of game it is.
No, this is a haunted house.
It doesn't like guide you to like 20-minute cutscenes. There's an occasional comm message, but I feel like that's more to like separate loading zones than anything. Which one thing, like when you're riding the tram, like one bit that I think would actually be better on the Xbox 360 is when you're on the tram and it like loads up the screen for when you're like where you are on the ship. Playing it on the Xbox One backwards compatibility, that loads too fast, so you can't like get a sense of like the map pops in, and then before you know where you're at, all right, we're loaded, and you're like, can we just go? If you're playing this game on the Series X, you won't even know there's something there. It'll be like, all right, next thing.
Because it doesn't, because it's meant to establish like a place where you're moving around the ship and you're seeing the sections that you're visiting. But yeah, because it's backwards compatible, that loads so fast. Yeah, you're done. You're back into it.
I didn't even notice there was writing there until like when it's loading Chapter 6, I think the most extensive area of this game, that's where I saw, wait a minute, there's a map here. that loads in. That's weird that I've never seen this before.
I think also, if I remember correctly, on the 360, that it takes a lot longer to open some of the doors because it's loading in. And here, you're just hitting it and it's going unlock, open, ready. But I want to say on 360, I remember it taking longer to open some of those doors because it was loading the next section.
Well, I appreciate that they're open quick because sometimes I have no ammo and just need to get through a door as quick as possible. So
yeah, ammo is going to be a problem in this game. Get used to buying lots of rounds. I was
fine until this last chapter, and then I was just running out of ammo constantly.
Well, we're going to get to that last chapter. I got something to talk about there.
Okay.
Chapter 3 is just you're fixing the engines. Basically, the ship is losing atmosphere. And it's going to collide into the planet. It's going to lose atmosphere. So you're getting the engines up and running. So you're going to engineering and the engine room, which makes sense. Isaac's the engineering guy. He would be the one that you would send to go fix that.
This is where you get the really cool spiral 0G sequence where you kind of got to figure out how to navigate, how to jump from like platform to platform to like get through while your oxygen is counting down. That was my favorite 0G section in this.
When the 0G walks, it's great because it's very disorienting. It allows you to have to kind of like search the environment to figure out where you are and the combat's very good in that because you're shooting at weird angles. Mm-hmm. Enemies are slowly kind of jumping at you and floating through space.
If I was designing, I don't know how Dead Space 2 plans out, but if I was designing a Dead Space sequel, I would look at the 0G rooms and go, there could be a lot more cool stuff we could do with this.
Oddly enough, they don't go super, super heavy into that. They go very heavy into story, and they go very heavy into... they still maintain atmosphere very well in 2. 2 is a better game than 1. It's very much an aliens thing, alien
more actiony, more like
it's a lot more actiony. You gain a lot more weapon capabilities. It's a lot more like combat focused. Throughout these chapters, also you're gaining the kind of like your abilities that you're going to use to solve puzzles. You gain stasis, which allows you to freeze enemies, freeze things in time, and you gain ability to kind of use telekinesis.
You get the control ability.
Yes, the control thing. You have to pick up things, throw things, move things around.
Which, after playing Control, ruined my... I probably would have thought, oh, this ability is really cool. And then you play Control going, no, I have to look at the specific object and pull it. Versus Control, where, I want a piece of floor, I got a piece of floor.
Yeah, and Control is like, I just need something to throw at this guy. And bam, it's there. And you just
see it like gum off the wall. We got to play Control.
I actually stopped playing Control myself because we're going to play Control. I want to play Control together. That's going to be a fun one.
A little bit of a divergent thing here, but I think we should go through all of those Remedy games. Even if I know we crapped a little bit on Quantum Break, despite the fact we haven't played that game. But I'm like, I don't know. Remedy is really good. Maybe we'll like Quantum Break.
We'll make a chart. We'll put it on the wall here. And we'll put connections to things.
The Remedy universe.
Yes.
Now that I know, like that Alan Wake teaser for the Control DLC made me go, I gotta play all of these games.
It's cool that they're really digging into that.
Man.
Just a couple of highlights from Chapter 3. The decontamination room is really freaking cool.
That was terrifying. That was one bit, like, I'm mostly making my way through this game, not, like, getting, like, super scared, because I'd have played a bunch of these horror games, and it does jump scare and atmosphere really well. That decontamination chamber was terrifying.
Yes.
Like, that was so good.
This is also in this chapter. You lose Heyman, and then you find Kendra gets a hold of you here. So at first you thought Kendra maybe have died, but Kendra kind of pops back up here, and then it's the whole thing where she's like, Heyman's not answering his comms. I don't trust him. And Heyman's just like, I'm just trying to mind my own business, bro. It's playing off of some tropes here. Also, it's the first hentai tentacle that jumps out of a wall and drags you around.
That sequence was also great. I didn't realize you could control Isaac at first, but when you realize you can move the reticle, you're like, oh crap, aim.
It's a cool moment of you being dragged with it.
Because you don't expect it at all. And then they don't do that again until chapter 6.
Yeah.
Where you're like, forget about it, and then it's just as good. They know when to use the tentacle.
Yeah, it's cool. And also, it's the first, like, massive big enemy that jumps you.
So is that just a tentacle, or is that the Leviathan?
I believe that's supposed to be the Leviathan,
Okay,
which we will fight in chapter 6.
So I wonder what the persistent thing is going to be. Also, skipping ahead a little bit to chapter 5, that's the first part of the game where you start to get an enemy presence. I was thinking it was going to be the captain, but he's actually Dr. Mercer.
That's actually in the next chapter, in chapter 4. Finishing chapter 3, we're in the engine room still.
Yeah.
Just to kind of run through that real fast. Tentacle jumps you in the engine room. This is when Kendra is in the PC core. Heyman is at command deck.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there was a chapter before
chapter
that.
4. Chapter 4 is like the shortest one in this game because I don't have a lot for that.
Yeah, chapter 4 is...
I don't even remember a lot going on here.
Yeah, and like we talked about this is going to be...
Oh, the asteroid section.
Yes.
That's right.
3, we leave engineering after we get the engines back up and running. So the ship is now restabilized. It's no longer crashing into the planet.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, no, it's great, right? We're not going to die that way. We die by the monsters instead.
Let's just put on the reverse. So we should just go to the main Captain Hug and put it to reverse, and then we're all set.
We'll be fine.
Just reverse it. Just get out of there.
Like, the game wants you to, like, they really play heavy into him being an engineer, but some of his fixes are like, just hit the button.
I mean, that's as someone who worked in engineering for a couple years, that is basically engineering. We can't figure out how to do this. Did you try restarting the computer?
Please restart the computer and call me back.
Awesome. Thank you. So it's very true to form. Like,
yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't had to unplug something, plug it back in, and all of a sudden it starts working.
That would be a great bit.
Man, I
unplug it, Isaac. Plug back in, Isaac. Did it work? Did you hold it for 20 seconds? This is also when you, after chapter 3, you're going to the command deck to get with Heyman to basically figure out, hey, you're entering the asteroid belt at this point. You're entering an asteroid belt, and all of the automated defenses against asteroids are down.
You got to restart the asteroid gun.
One thing I wrote down here is, boy, do we just spend the bulk of this game just turning stuff back on.
Yes.
It could have been done better. Something I kind of forgot about, that a lot of this game is just going and hitting switches. It makes sense that there's an asteroid belt because you've cracked a planet open. There would be a lot of debris. I wish it was better than just go turn this on, go turn that on.
Do this not so great turret section.
Yeah. One thing I do like is we get the first time we actually get to go visit the captain's deck. It looks cool. This environment's not bad because there's like a multiple level elevator that you can travel up and down.
Oh right, that's this section. Like that very much has the central hub feel that you were talking about.
If you try not to use the auto guide, the game is a lot more interesting to navigate the spaces. The auto guide, in my mind, actually ruins a lot of it.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
the auto guide makes it so much easier just to use the auto guide and find where you're going. Where I feel like if that wasn't there, it'd be a lot more interesting. And also, there is sections of the ship you won't see if you use the auto guide.
Is that in Dead Space 2?
Yes, I want to say so.
Is it just as like it's like the detective vision in Batman? Why would I never use this?
It's the shameful thing is, and one thing that the game doesn't really tell you is, if you leave that beaten path, those upgrades, those equipment, those weapon equipment, all off the path, and those enemies you can fight. But the game makes it so easy to follow the path that you don't really want to leave it, and that's kind of a big fault of this. Is I wish that I didn't have that constant line, literally straight line, that tells me where I need to go next.
Because sometimes when you break through that path, they're just going through hallways to get to a locked door. This is what happened to me in this most recent chapter. I broke from that path and then ended up doing the tentacle sequence early, going to like that room, and I couldn't get any further because I needed to go back and kill the last gas thing.
Yeah. Or you get to a section of the game where there's just nothing there.
Yeah, so
a couple of things that open and get some supplies, but no, I feel like the game would be more interesting if they didn't have that direct, like, go this direction right here, follow this exact line. I wish it was almost like a ping that like pointed you in the right direction, but didn't literally draw a line on the floor. Like, oh hey, you probably should go right. but not tell you go right, take a left, and then go up this stair. Like it's a little bit more vague. We are turning back on the asteroid auto defense system. This is also where we learned that the artifact is actually in cargo. Like, we found out the artifact is on the ship and is in cargo. And this is also where you start getting some audio logs of the fact that the cult that is associated with this artifact basically had either infiltrated the crew or is affecting the crew. And there was kind of a steady increase in violence and things going bad that kind of escalated quickly, either the cult's doing or the necromorphs starting to like appear, where you'll start like, oh hey man, there's a lot of people getting violently attacked and they're in medical and medical is overwhelmed, or engineering's lost contact with this section of the ship, and you're seeing like a steady increase in the collapse of the ship, which I think is cool. But I wish that it was a little bit more meat there to explain what's happening. Also in this section, you can get the level 3 suit.
Yay!
Which you need to get. Also, it's the first major boss fight, I would say. In that open area, you are engaged by kind of a brute version of the necromorph that you can only shoot from behind.
Okay, that's that enemy. I wasn't very detailed. I just put big boy in my notes.
Big boy.
Big boy.
He's like a tank in Left 4 Dead or something.
Yeah.
Just dodge him and shoot him in the back, or use the stasis. None of the enemies in this, all the way up to this point, are super difficult. There's one enemy that makes new enemies. It's like a little bat thing that you engaged in Chapter 3 with.
Oh, I hate the bat thing. And there's also the thing that looks like the bloater in Left 4 Dead that just drops a bunch of face huggers.
Yeah, you have to shoot his legs off and his arms off to keep from triggering that.
Oh.
Yeah, don't shoot him in the stomach. You shoot his legs and his arms off, and he won't trigger the
I've just been
face
hitting
huggers.
him with the force gun until he falls, and then using the force gun to kill the face huggers. So
Oh,
I've been
so it
using
works.
a lot more ammo than I probably should, but
Yeah.
now that I know that...
Yeah, cut his legs and his arms off, and he won't release the face huggers.
Gotcha.
The big thing here is also there's the little fight with the boss, and as you're kind of going along, getting everything back up and running, what is it? I'm just, like I said, at one point the overhead lady kept talking in other languages, and I couldn't tell if that was an issue with my settings or if that's an issue with the game or if that's intentional. Did
The
you have
overhead
that?
lady?
Like, there's a lady that talks on the like overhead, like medical is not responding.
I feel like that's just
automated.
because the ship's called the Ishimura, so I think it's implied that there's like the International Space Station. There's a lot of different cultures working on this ship.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I took that as.
It was in French for a long period of time. And it was just kind of like
we did play observation where there was a lot of different like sections of the ship that were all from different countries put together.
Also, if you get hit with the power lines in this game, it looks like you're in a cartoon.
Oh yeah, he goes full ragdoll here.
He he also like shakes like in a cartoon. You trigger the cannon, which has a really bad turret sequence in which you sit in the turret and shoot asteroids until the
I failed that the first time just because the reticle wouldn't move as fast as I wanted it to.
Yeah.
that was a rough section.
It
overheats as well, and it doesn't tell you when it's about to overheat. Why is this here?
Because this was in a lot of games at the time. If you remember, like how many Call of Duty games had like sit on the 50 cal and shoot enemies, or
Mass Effect 3 was like turret sections. And they're
Yeah.
like, why?
a lot of that, like turret sections are never interesting. Like I'm okay with being able to go grab a turret and use it, like in Halo or something, where you're like,
You can
I'm
just rip off the turret from the turret and just use it as a minigun. And you're
That's
like,
even
this is
cooler.
great.
But I'm even okay in games where I was like, I'm gonna run and grab onto this turret and shoot some enemies with it, but I need to be able to leave the turret when I want to. I don't like the idea
Mandatory
of being
turret
locked
sections
into,
are bad.
It's just there was a weird kind of thing on Xbox Live Arcade where like a lot of like small developers were making like turret only like shooting games. It's like
No.
Cold War Crisis, and you shoot a bunch of like Red Army troops attacking a beach, and you just sit on a turret. And I'm like, who the heck wants to play just a turret sequence? Who's buying a game being like, let's play turret sequences? once
The
that
worst part of your favorite video games, the video game.
Yeah. It's at this point that you realize that the air is being poisoned on the ship.
Good times.
Yeah, and so you're sent to Medical Bay again to basically build up a antidote to the airborne virus, so you can take that to food storage.
And this is the first time you're revisiting an earlier section. So once you get to one of the rooms where you're going to the upper floor, everything's on the fritz. There's a lot of everything's not acting like it should. That was a really good twist on that, so I really like that.
Yeah, I think there's some really cool stuff here with the concept of kind of crazy, re-entering. Things have been happening here. Also, this is where you meet the character you have referenced before, which is Dr. Marshall, who's basically an insane guy who's believing this is the next step in human evolution. He's all for the necromorphs, thinks they're the best things in the world, and he's going to kind of haunt you throughout the entire mission of Medical Bay Part 2. It is cool to interact with someone else because the game doesn't do that a lot.
It's just a bummer that Isaac doesn't. This is where I don't like the silent protagonist trope.
Me either.
At all. And after a while, it was okay, is Isaac just a quiet dude? It's no, everybody's just talking at him.
It was the thing.
It doesn't being a horror game is not the end of the world. It doesn't bring it ultimately down. But that's just my least favorite thing, where people are just talking at you.
Yeah. It feels like it feels very unnatural, because why wouldn't Isaac, if in a story reason, why wouldn't Isaac be yelling back at the guy and talking to the guy? You've been also throughout this entire chapter, you're getting a little bit of, once again, messages from Nicole, and because Isaac doesn't talk, it feels weird, because Isaac's not Nicole, I'm coming for you, or nothing like that. It's just help me, Isaac, help me, and Isaac's just standing there. The silent protagonist stuff does not walk in this game at all in my mind. I feel even if they just had a guy, get Nolan North, he was doing everybody else at the time, have him be I'm coming for you, Nicole. I mean, you can give him a half a day worth of voice lines, and it would just make it a little bit less weird.
He mentions one part where he says, your death will bring their birth. So is he referring to the babies? Is the babies his experiment? I'm really fixated.
I thought you fixated
on those zombie babies, just because I'm that's such a weird thing.
I think it's more of the fact that they come back as necromorphs after you die.
Yeah, but I was I don't know.
This is when you also deal with the regenerator we talked about, which is basically Mr. X or Nemesis from the Resident Evil games. He's an enemy you can't kill traditionally, and he's going to haunt you throughout the game.
I was fine with him until one section in the chapter where it's the monster closet, where you can't go through the door, because it doesn't tell you that you need to kill all the enemies in order to get the room open. You have no one say,
is this the point where you actually beat, quote unquote, the guy, where you have to kill all the enemies around him before you can let yourself get out of the room?
Yeah, you can't kill him here. This is nearing the end of this chapter, but what's her name again? Kendra. She doesn't tell you, hey, I'm working on getting this door open. So you're just running around, just trying all the doors, just what am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do here? I don't know. Do I take the battery out of this door to get through it?
Yeah, it sucks, because also
it's the worst part of this game. And then right after that, you get the beginner death trap I talked about, where you try to open a door and you get your head cut off. And that was the point where I'm just oh, come on.
Well, also, the game is trying to teach you to conserve ammunition, and that section right there, even I dumped a ton of ammunition into enemies trying to figure out what I was doing. And it doesn't, because it's not allowing you to.
And if you're backing up from enemies, you being in medical, you hit some of the medical beds and stuff. So it's not a better environment for this would be an open room with something in the middle, something to give you
line of sight breaking,
and just area circle strafing possibilities here, more crowd control. It just feels I was just running around aimlessly shooting whenever I had something in my sights. It was tense, but but not the good kind of tense. It was just
Yeah.
like, get me through this section, get me through this section.
Put this in comparison to the RE2 remake of Mr. X, who is an enemy you can't kill. Now he is. Now, I know this is a later on game, but he's an enemy that you can't kill. But because you can guide him through the environment, there's a situation where he does appear sometimes in situations that are automatically bad for you, where he's in a small hallway and you gotta find a way around him. But the environment's usually well designed enough that there's always a way to kind of like do that quick jump between these two tables here and get past him, or I'll shut this door over here and it'll buy me time. You know, you feel like you at that point, and also you understand the environment super. You're very familiar with the police station at that point when he shows up. So at that point, you know all the little cuts and all the little ways to get to, like, the shortcuts. So once he's after you, and he's after you for a long period of time in that game, you are able to navigate the environment because you've been running through the same area. That's not like this here. So this enemy that you can't kill is more of just a nuisance than a fun gameplay mechanic.
I agree completely. And Isaac doesn't have a lot of maneuverability. He's stiff and kind of bulky.
Well, also, you can't do several things that really irritate me. One is you can't reload the gun without pointing the gun.
I wish you had a dodge roll.
Yeah, there's no dodge roll, but you can't reload the gun without pointing the gun. So there would be times where I would empty my weapon. I need to reload it, but I'm also needing to get away from people. And so you're running away to turn to do the reload, to run away again. It just feels weird.
While you're in the middle of the reload animation, you can drop your gun, and then you can like run slightly faster while he's reloading, but you still have to aim it initially to do the reload.
Also, you can't heal while aiming, and you can't use the kinesis while running. So because they use the same button. So there's a situation where I would be injured, wanting to use my heal to heal myself and defend myself. I can't do that because I have to heal real quick after I drop the gun and then point the gun. It just, stuff like that feels a little weird.
Can you heal not on the menu?
Yeah, X. Didn't know that, did you? X is if you don't point your gun, you're just not pointing the gun, and you hit X, it'll heal. It'll just use one of your medical.
I've been I was in this boss fight, going through menus trying to heal while trying to dodge the balls he was shooting at me.
Boy, that makes it harder, doesn't it?
A little bit. I forgot all about that. Well, I also forgot about like the stasis and the throw thing a lot too.
Yeah, because you only use it at puzzles, and then when you do have to use it in combat situations,
I mainly just used it on the regenerator so I could get away.
Yeah. You do eventually like put down the regenerator in a sequence in which you have to trap him in like a refrigeration, like a flash refrigerator.
That part was cool because you had to like freeze him in like a certain spot while you went.
It's like you take him apart inside the room and then run and trigger the button just to freeze him. It was kind of cool. I like that part.
Yeah, that was cool.
We go to, in chapter 6, we are heading to food storage, and it's a cool kind of thing, the idea that they grow their own food for the ship on the ship.
Makes sense. That's a real thing, and like not a real thing, but like in the movie Sunshine, there was a whole thing like their oxygen chamber wasn't just like a big room. It was, we have a greenhouse that supplies oxygen for the ship and everything.
That's also the way it is in The Martian. Mm-hmm. Where he's growing his own little potatoes.
And there was a big part in the movie Sunshine, spoilers, where like someone sets the oxygen room on fire and all those trees on fire. It's like, okay, now we're doing with a time crunch. Now our backup supply of oxygen's ticking down.
Also in The Martian, it's when he gets all his potatoes ruined. A little bit less dramatic, the idea, my potatoes, but it's still pretty cool.
Martian was such a good movie.
It was a good movie. I did not read the book, but I hear the book is not bad either.
I heard the book is more like funnier than you would think it is, just because he approaches his whole point of his character is he approaches like terrible situations with a bit of levity.
I think it's like it's supposed to be like a light book. Like it's not a book that's like a super dark and depressing. Like it's like a fun summertime read. You know, like I think it was like a lot of bookstores did it as though like summer book club kind of stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
for chapter 6, we'll go in there. We realize that the reason why we're not having air quality problems is because we're the only ones smart enough to wear a helmet. Because Hammond's in the floor like, you know. But and at this point, we're literally.
He just straight up says the air is rotten.
Yes. He's like, don't take your helmet off. It's like, I don't think Isaac ever takes his helmet off. I'm pretty sure Isaac's challenging this thing.
He wears it to bed.
Yeah, he just sleeps in his big, heavy engineer stuff. In chapter 6, also, we just go around and we kill a bunch of guys who are producing gas. This
basically in a straight line.
Yeah.
You follow the arrows to get to the guy. Like, I thought this would be a cool area where you could like split up and like find the 8 sections, but if you just follow the arrow, it will take you to all 8 of those. There's one that was well hidden. The part where you like had to like resupply the oxygen and he was hidden underneath, because every time you like hit the button, all of a sudden your oxygen starts ticking down. So you have to look at underneath and you're like, oh, there he is. That was a cool one.
That was the only one I thought was actually like really cool. The idea that he's like hidden down there.
It felt kind of like padding. Like you could have cut them in half and it would have had the same effect.
Yeah, it's very much like
put him in better areas rather than just like, oh, he's at the end of this hallway. Gotta turn back and go up the elevator.
Is equivalent in like a military shooter, or like run around and put the C4 in all the columns. Where it's like, do this thing 5 times. Also, there is a cool sequence that I really like. Oh, by the way, there's a cool thing. You cannot use the flamethrower in 0G.
That makes sense.
Or in no oxygen.
I never bought the flamethrower, so I didn't know that.
I used the flamethrower a lot, and one of the first things that happens in one of the, I believe in chapter 5, those little face hugger things come at you, and those my go-to way of killing them is the flamethrower, and I just wondered if you could walk, because it didn't make any sense if you could. It does not walk. So it's cool, the idea that that weapon does not walk in a situation in which it wouldn't walk. So kudos on them. It will walk in 0G, sorry. It won't walk in no oxygen.
We do hear, Dr. Mercer, I think, is the one who says something about the Leviathan in chapter 5.
Yeah.
And then when you get to Hammond, he says he locked something big in the food storage.
Yeah, and after we do the cleanup of the gassy guys, also, real quick, sound design thing that I want to compliment. There's a section in which you are going down an elevator. And very subtly in the soundtrack is a little, like a woman's voice singing the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song. Very subtle. Super deep in the mix.
There's also the bit where Nicole appears on all the monitors in this room at once, and that was really creepy.
There's also, this is when Kendra talks about that she's seen her brother on the ship.
I saw my brother in a security monitor. That's not possible.
This is very much the Event Horizon stuff of like people seeing things and monsters, like they're seeing visions and stuff like that. Like I said, this game really loves itself some Event Horizon, and then also it's, as a Warhammer guy, this is all dealing with that chaos and the warp. That's all this stuff is. Like I was like, you can close your eyes and pretend this is a Warhammer game.
There's a lot. It wears its influences on its sleeve.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. I mean,
no, not at all.
This is not a game trying to be like, we're reinventing the wheel, but it is, a little bit blatant.
Again, in their offices, they called this, we're making before they had everything set. They're like, let's make Resident Evil in space, and that was kind of before they had everything solidified. That was what they called it, Resident Evil in space.
I think that's why it's weird to me that this game's story really took off, where people got super into the story and the lore of Dead Space, because it's kind of, to me,
that surprises
derivative. But remember, they had an animated movie, a comic.
Yeah, I know.
But people got into this.
So I was like, oh, there's going to be a lot of cool lore stuff. And judging just by the first game, I'm like, there's not a lot here.
Yeah, I thought, because I played 2, and I remember 2 having a lot more of that. This was really kind of bare bones.
It's a horror game. It's a really well-crafted horror game, but it's a horror game. You played a bunch of these before, but this is still
creepy.
Yeah.
This gets to the final boss battle, which is a bad rule of 3 boss. The rule of 3 thing is complete these 3 sections of a boss multiple times to beat it. That's what this is. You literally do 3 of the tentacles. You do it twice, and then you shoot down its little mouth as it shoots little balls of attacking.
Did you get the catch achievement for catching it?
Yeah, you catch it with a kinetic.
That kind of ruined the boss fight for me, because I just chuckled after I did that. It's like, hey, play catch. I'm like,
yeah, that was funny.
But
This is not a good boss.
It was fine. I died the first time, but the second time I was able to push through it a lot faster, and I thought it was a fine boss fight.
It's okay.
Nothing to write home about. It does its job as like a mid-game boss. This is literally the midpoint of the game, so it's like, well, boss fight.
Yeah. And then that ends our section. Overall, how you feel about this?
I like this game. I'm not like super jazzed about Dead Space overall. What it does well is atmosphere in terms of like the lighting and how it handles the ambience with the score and everything. That's the two things I think this game handles better than most horror games. I don't care about the story, but overall, I'm glad we're playing this. I don't know if I feel bad about this, but I don't know if I was playing this game on my own, if I would finish it. I feel like I would stop here and like go play some other stuff, and then never come back to it. It will just be out sitting on my backlog, just because it's. I don't mean that. That sounds harsh. That really does.
No,
but
I mean
what I mean is this game does stuff really well, but. I'm glad we're playing this game. I want to see this game to the end, but like if we weren't playing this for the show, I don't know if it would have this like hooks in me. I'd be like, that was a really fun like 5 hours that I put in this thing. So
I think it's also very much a time and place game. This game I think did a lot of things at the time that was very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, and that's one of the reasons this show is interesting to me and why I enjoy doing it. We're looking at these kind of in like a bubble of how these hold up. You know, what was it at the time? This is a game that I think has been hurt by time. Games have come along and moved past some of the things that this game relies on.
And you said you prefer 2, so you're going into it having like knowing that this series will improve on things as it goes.
The series improves a lot on things in my mind. 2 is a lot more of a flushed out game. Like I said, Isaac at that point he's a voice character. He's got a character. Isaac in this does not have a character.
I would be interested. I'm not done with this. We're obviously not done with this game yet. This is my first time ever playing it, but I would like to maybe in the future go and play 2, whether it's for the show or on my own, just because some of the stuff that you said about that makes me more interested.
Yeah, I think 2 is a better game. But boy, 1 is like I said, I enjoy playing this. I think that I'm hoping that it's going to kind of get a little bit more unique in the next part. These chapters can kind of blend together.
A little bit, yeah. Some of the environment stuff. There's some really good set pieces, but like when you're traveling to those big set pieces, a lot of the environment is kind of samey.
Yeah, it's very. There's some beautiful parts of the ship where like the lighting really looks great with the sound design.
In 2008, it didn't need to be. Because these were relatively new consoles, people are like, wow, this looks really good. The lighting is really good. And when you're dealing with a new console, that's really all you need. How good's the lighting? How good's the sound effect? How good's the shooting? You can cut people's arms off. That's awesome.
Yeah, you didn't need to really be super insane.
If there was rain, you'd be looking at how good the wet pavement looks.
Yeah, I remember playing Gears of War 1, and there's a Gridlock is not Gridlock. The Mansion multiplayer map had rain, and I was like, remember looking at the concrete in the middle of a multiplayer match, being like, man, that concrete looks like it's got puddles on it. That's so cool.
Yeah, I do feel like as I'm playing it the first time, this is a really good proof of concept, and I would like to see where the series goes on this point. But again, if I was just playing this by myself, not for the show, I'd probably go here. I'd probably stop here and go, that was fun. Yeah. And then go play something else. But I am interested to seeing if the back half of this game is better. Because like I said, this is a really well-crafted game, but I don't know if like it can keep this up for another like 4 or 5 hours or so.
No, I think it needs to do some changes.
It needs rather like really interesting encounters, because if it's the same like style as these other chapters of let's go fix a thing, let's go to the central hub and branch out 3 different ways. If the game stopped here, I would be fine with it, honestly. If this was the final boss and we have a tease or stinger for Dead Space 2, I'd be like, that was a really fun, like 5-hour, really tight game. Play through it on hard, breeze through it, maybe unlock an additional chapter or something by playing it on hard, that type of game. Yeah, but again, we'll see where the second half with this game goes. But I hope it does stuff to differentiate itself more.
Yep.
Because if it doesn't, I'm probably going to sound even more negative. in the second bit.
I do too. I really hope that it goes a little bit more different places. But we will find out in 2 weeks as we finish Dead Space, and then we will be announcing our next game. Once again, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. We've had some great feedback, great information. Make sure you can shoot emails to us at stateofsave@gmail.com. Any reviews you can get on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of those places, we appreciate. And then the big thing. What's the big thing, Michael? What do we ask everybody to do?
5-star review on iTunes?
No. Tell their friends, Michael.
Tell your friends, right.
We got the call of action, Michael. The call to action.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends to leave reviews on iTunes. See, I made it tie in.
Sure.
Have call to action. Have other people do call to action for us, so we don't have to do this at the end of the show each week.
Yay! Don't have to do this.
But seriously, we would love to value your feedback in any way that you guys think we can make the show better, make it a little bit tighter. We'd love to hear your opinions.
Show's gonna continue to adapt as we get down exactly how we're gonna keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, Nick might be back for the next episode, or he might just take this entire game off. He's got some stuff going on, but he definitely will be back for the next game. Hopefully he'll be back for the next episode also. Once again, thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great weekend, great time. See ya.